I'm trying to be cool, bro. I'm trying to be cool, bro. Congratulations to Raven Johnson on being drafted. I'm not trying to rain on nobody's parade, man. I know this is a lifelong dream. I'm trying to be cool, bro. Indiana Fever, fire the front office, man. Y'all on some BS, bro. Y'all on some straight up BS. This is the same Raven Johnson that was out pushing.
That's not celebration. That's anger. Pure, unfiltered frustration from someone who just watched their team make what he considers a catastrophic mistake. The Indiana Fever just used the 10th overall pick in the 2025 WNBA Draft on Raven Johnson from South Carolina. And the reaction you're seeing isn't just about basketball fit. This goes deeper.
What are y'all doing, bro? Yana Nipkins was right there. Tanaya Latson was right there. What is y'all doing, bro? Like, I'm so sick of this damn organization already. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Share the channel. Hit that bell notification and hype the video. That would be greatly appreciated. I'm hot. I'm hot, bruh. I had to end the damn.
Here's what makes this pick so controversial. Just weeks before the draft, Raven Johnson made headlines for comments that appeared to target Caitlin Clark fans, suggesting they were responsible for racist harassment she experienced during South Carolina's tournament run. She specifically called out Clark's fanbase, while never acknowledging that criticism could come from anywhere. And now the Fever just drafted her to play alongside Clark. The optics are brutal.
You waited. Okay, let's take a look at this here, man. The Indiana Fever select Raven Johnson with the number 10 pick. Now, Raven Johnson, in a nutshell, she's a good defender. Okay, she can defend. She plays hard defensively. That's all she's bringing. That's it. At 5'9", who she really defended? She can't shoot for real. Offense, she's Midamoski. She's mid, bro. It's just like, what are y'all doing?
Let's talk about what Raven Johnson actually brings to the table. She's a 5'9" defensive specialist who won SEC Defensive Player of the Year as a senior. Solid defender, plays with intensity on that end. But offensively, she's limited. Can't shoot consistently, struggles to create her own shot, and her offensive game is essentially non-existent at the WNBA level. The Fever already have defensive players. What they desperately needed was shooting to space the floor around Caitlin Clark.
Took Raven Johnson, and you know what the worst part about this is? GM Amber Cox was quoted as saying this right here. Fever GM Amber Cox on drafting Raven Johnson 10th overall. Raven is somebody that we thought would probably go in the top 4 or 5. Well, where? What top 4 was Raven Johnson?
Now here's where this gets worse. Fever general manager Amber Cox defended the pick by saying they thought Raven Johnson would go in the top 4 or 5 picks. Top 4 or 5. Let that sink in. She's claiming Johnson was projected to go before players like Anissa Morrow, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts, or Dominique Malonga. There is not a single credible mock draft that had Johnson in the top 5. Not one.
What? What are you talking about? I can't, bro. I can't with these people. I can't with these people, bro. Enough's enough, bro. Enough's enough, man. When is Caitlin's contract up with this team, bro? I'm over this. I'm over it, bro. Enough's enough, man. This is ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe, like, bro, we had options. Yana Nipkins was there. Tanaya Latson was there. I wish Dugalich was there.
This statement reveals something troubling about the Fever's front office evaluation process. Either Amber Cox genuinely believed Johnson was a top 5 talent, which suggests a fundamental disconnect from basketball reality, or she's trying to justify a pick that was made for reasons other than pure basketball value. Neither option inspires confidence. And for a franchise that finally has a generational superstar in Caitlin Clark, competent roster construction isn't optional anymore. It's essential.
You know, all I know is this. Y'all better be taking Hannah Stokey. That's what I know. Y'all going and getting Aaliyah Boston friends. Y'all need to be going and getting Hannah Stokey. Raven Johnson has been selected 10th overall by the Indiana Fever, reunited with Aaliyah Boston, and yes, on the same team as Caitlin Clark. Look, people saying she didn't look happy. Man, I don't want to deal with this, bro. This is going to be a whole year of drama. I'm telling y'all.
Here's what was actually available at pick 10. Dominique Malonga went 12 picks later to the Connecticut Sun. She's a 6'1" wing who can shoot the three, defend multiple positions, and doesn't come with any off-court controversy attached to the team's franchise player. She would have been a perfect complementary piece. Instead, the Fever selected someone who publicly criticized their star player's fan base weeks earlier. The basketball fit is questionable. The cultural fit is potentially toxic.
W, bro. I'm telling you, she's not. She's not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. I'm over it, bro. We need better players. Yana Nipkins was right there. She ended up going to the Connecticut Sun 2 picks later. I wanted Yana Nipkins. She's a shooter. Like, I just didn't like, I'm cool on this, man. I'm cool on this. She just basically called Caitlin Clark fans racist and tried to make it seem like Caitlin Clark fans was the reason she was going through.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum. The Indiana Fever have a documented history of questionable decision-making around Caitlin Clark. They hired Stephanie White as head coach despite her previous comments about Clark. They've made roster moves that don't maximize Clark's strengths. They've handled media situations poorly. This Raven Johnson pick is just the latest example of a front office that seems disconnected from what their franchise player needs to succeed. Or worse, they know exactly what they're doing and don't care.
Going on, why does it automatically got to be Caitlin Clark fans? It's just ridiculous, bro. And then for y'all to see that and then go bring her on the team, you guys are a joke. That's why I look at you like you're a joke. That is why. Stephanie White don't know what she doing. This whole thing is wacky. This whole thing is super, super wacky and messed up, man. Like, I'm over it. I'm over it.
Watch this reaction again. This is someone who's been following this team closely, who understands the dynamics at play, and who just watched the organization make a decision that prioritizes something other than winning basketball games. Because if winning was the priority, if building the best possible team around a generational talent was the goal, this pick doesn't make sense. Raven Johnson will likely spend most of her rookie season on the bench. She's not ready to contribute at the WNBA level.
I just don't feel like this is the best choice for us, bro.
From the University of South Carolina.
You about to get your ass cooked in practice. You about to get cooked in practice. Now we got to hear from these other South Carolina peoples and her peoples when she not getting planted. It's just like, bro.
Let's examine the South Carolina connection here. The Fever already have Aaliyah Boston, Johnson's former teammate at South Carolina. Now they've added another. And while team chemistry matters, you don't draft for college connections. You draft for professional fit. The WNBA is a business. Every roster spot is precious. Using the 10th overall pick on a player who brings minimal offensive value and comes with significant baggage related to your franchise player is organizational malpractice. The timing makes this even more suspect. Johnson's comments about Clark fans happened in March during the NCAA tournament. The draft was in April. The Fever had weeks to evaluate whether bringing her into this locker room was wise. They had weeks to consider the optics. They had weeks to explore other options. And they still made this pick.
We saw her game just grow and grow throughout her career. Head coach
Yana Nipkins went 5 picks later. I'll be
Kelly ready to celebrate the player who she has said she will miss most of all. And there have been some incredible ones who have come through that program. And Raven Johnson headed to the Indiana Fever and reunited with Aaliyah Boston and a couple of Gamecocks back there in Indy.
Here's the broader context that makes this so frustrating for Fever fans. Caitlin Clark is the reason WNBA viewership exploded in her rookie season. She brought millions of new fans to the league. She sold out arenas across the country. She made the Indiana Fever relevant for the first time in years, and the organization's response has been to surround her with questionable coaching decisions, puzzling roster moves, and now a draft pick that feels like it's testing her patience. Clark's rookie contract runs through the 2028 season with team options. That sounds like a long time, but it's not. If the Fever continue making decisions like this, if they continue showing that building a championship-caliber team around her isn't the priority, she will leave the moment she can. And the franchise will go right back to irrelevance.
like, she ain't even gonna play, but it's just like, damn, bro, we could have got a better fit on and off the floor. You see what I'm saying? It's just like this wasn't the move for me, man. This why stuff like this just kind of make me feel like Y'all truly don't have Caitlin Clark's best interest, bro. Y'all truly don't, man. I don't trust Amber Cox. I don't trust Kelly Crosskopf. I don't trust Stephanie White. I just feel like this whole organization is out of pocket. And this,
The comparison to how other leagues treat their superstars is stark. When the NBA has a generational talent, franchises bend over backward to accommodate them. They hire the coaches they want. They acquire the players who complement their game. They build entire organizational philosophies around maximizing that player's prime years. The Fever are doing the opposite. They're making moves that seem designed to prove they won't be pushed around by player preferences or fan pressure. And that's ego-driven management, not winning basketball. Think about what message this sends to Caitlin Clark. Your teammate from college just got drafted, someone who publicly blamed your fans for harassment without evidence. The front office brings her in anyway, claims she was a top 5 talent when nobody else saw it that way, and expects you to just accept it. That's not respect. That's not partnership. That's an organization telling their star player that her comfort and success are secondary to whatever other agenda they're pursuing.
Latson, I'm cool. I would have been cool with Tania Latson. Y'all wouldn't have got Raven Johnson, bro. Like, I see what time it is. I see what type of time y'all on. It is what it is. Get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. This Keep the Vision.
So here's what this means for the Indiana Fever's 2025 season and beyond. They now have a roster that includes a player who will be a constant source of media attention and controversy, who brings minimal on-court value, and who represents everything wrong with how this front office operates. Raven Johnson isn't the problem. She's a symptom. The problem is leadership that consistently prioritizes the wrong things. Amber Cox needs to be evaluated. Her draft process, her player evaluation, her understanding of what this team needs, all of it is questionable after this pick. Kelly Crosskopf, the team president, needs to answer for why this keeps happening. Why does this organization keep making decisions that undermine their franchise player? Why is there such a disconnect between what Caitlin Clark needs to win and what the front office provides? Stephanie White's role in this can't be ignored either. As head coach, she has input on draft picks. She signed off on bringing Raven Johnson into this locker room. She's now responsible for managing the dynamics between Johnson and Clark, between Johnson and the fan base, between the various factions this pick has created. And based on her track record, there's little reason to believe she'll handle it well. The basketball fit is terrible. The Fever needs shooting. They need players who can space the floor and let Caitlin Clark operate. Raven Johnson can't shoot. She's a career 28% three-point shooter who takes fewer than 2 attempts per game. In the modern WNBA, if you can't shoot, you can't share the floor with a ball-dominant guard. It's that simple. Johnson will either sit on the bench or clog the lane when she plays. Neither option helps the team win. The cultural fit might be even worse. How do you build team chemistry when one player publicly criticized another player's fan base? How do you create trust when the organization clearly didn't consult their franchise player about bringing in someone with this history? How do you maintain locker room cohesion when half the fan base is furious about the pick and the other half is defending it? The Fever just created unnecessary drama for a player who won't even contribute meaningful minutes. And let's address the elephant in the room. Would any other WNBA team have made this pick? Would the New York Liberty, fresh off a championship, use a top 10 pick on a defensive specialist who can't shoot and comes with controversy? Would the Las Vegas Aces, a model franchise, make this move? Would the Minnesota Lynx, who just hired Cheryl Reeve to rebuild, draft for college connections over professional fit? The answer is no. This is Indiana Fever dysfunction, and it's been consistent for years. The saddest part is that this was avoidable. Dominique Malonga was available. Tihina Pau went later and would have provided shooting. Hannah Stuolka, another Iowa connection who actually makes basketball sense, was still on the board. The Fever had options. They chose the worst one. And they did it while claiming it was actually the best one, which suggests they either don't understand basketball or don't care what fans think. This pick will define how people view the Amber Cox era in Indiana. Not the Caitlin Clark draft pick, which was obvious. Not the Aaliyah Boston pick, which happened before her time. This one, the Raven Johnson selection. The moment when the front office had a chance to show they learned from past mistakes and instead doubled down on dysfunction. The moment when they could have prioritized winning and chose something else entirely. So the question becomes, how long does Caitlin Clark tolerate this? How many more questionable decisions before she starts thinking about her future elsewhere? Because that's what's at stake here. Not whether Raven Johnson becomes a solid role player. Not whether this pick works out in 3 years. The stakes are whether the Indiana Fever can keep the player who saved their franchise. And based on this draft pick, based on the pattern of decisions we've seen, the answer is looking more and more like no. If you're a Fever fan, you should be furious. If you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you should be worried. And if you're someone who cares about competent front office management in professional sports, you should be taking notes on what not to do. Because the Indiana Fever just gave a masterclass in how to waste a generational talent. Let me know in the comments whether you think this pick was justified, whether Amber Cox should keep her job, and how long you think Caitlin Clark stays in Indiana if this continues. Hit subscribe if you want more honest WNBA analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.